Just when you were getting ready to stash those defenses for the playoffs, you have Isaac Guerendo becoming a potential league-winning option on the waiver wire with CMC and Jordan Mason going down. Today, we're going to look into the film and some advanced stats to explain why you should be spending 100% of your FAAB dollars on getting Isaac Guerendo for your playoff push. The first game we're going to look at is Week 6 against the Seattle Seahawks, and obviously Guerendo is the third stringer for most of the year, so we really only have two big sample sizes of games where he had 10 or more carries. The first one is against the Seahawks, where he had 10 carries for 99 yards, resulting in 9.9 fantasy points, and the second one we'll look into is against the Cowboys in Week 8, when he had 19.2 fantasy points, 14 carries, 85 yards, and 1 touchdown. But first off, we're going to just look at the difference between Guerendo in the outside run versus inside run, and then take a look at what that means with that 49ers offensive line. This right here is going to be a design pitch. They're going to try and seal to the left side. You'll see here, Purdy gets the ball, snapped, gets to Guerendo, and there's not really much room in the original play design. He's meant to follow his blockers and cut to the left, but the only play he has is to cut up the middle, and there's a decently big hole now, but you can see this lineman is supposed to pick up, I believe that's Devin Witherspoon right here. This defender on the Seahawks is coming in free. He has good leverage in the middle, and so does 96. So this is an extremely tough run for Guerendo because he has to go away from what the play is asking him to do, cut the middle, and this defender flies in right here, wraps him up from the side, but he still does a solid job falling forward and getting a few extra yards. Here we're going to have a designated inside run. It's going to be basically just a halfback dive on this play, and Guerendo's going to get the ball, but unfortunately the blocking doesn't really set up. It is important to note that we'll take a look at the most recent updated PFF offensive line rankings. The 49ers have jumped up to 11th, but they were ranked lower than this. I believe they were in the middle of the pack, 14, 15, 16, around the beginning/middle of the season when this occurred. And this is just extremely tough for Guerendo because when they ask him to run the ball at the middle and you have a weak 49ers offensive line, it's going to be extremely tough. And this is not how he wins. Right here, the line kind of just collapses on him. He has to put his shoulder down, and he's not really getting many fantasy points from that. That is not his strong suit at all, but what we'll see later on is this compared to what happens when the 49ers actually give him the ball in space. The two games we looked at were from early in the year, again, about middle of the season, but this is from Week 13. The 49ers are now ranked 11th, and that's down 2 spots because Trent Williams didn't play in that game against the Packers recently. Pretty solid core, though. Obviously, you have, as it highlights right here, Jalen Moore being a solid fill-in, getting a 81.9 PFF grade. And then you have Colton McKivitz. I don't remember how to say his name, even though I talked about him in my CMC video. Wasn't looking too hot when they did the initial rankings, but has only given up 1 sack, obviously not directly correlating to run blocking. But overall, just from what I've read up about McKivitz, you have the rest of the offensive line, Pooney, Brendel, Banks, and more. And then obviously once you plug star Trent Williams in, it's a pretty solid group. Again, down 2 would be ranked 9 with Trent Williams, so top 10 unit is nothing to frown at. I think that is definitely helpful for Guerendo, and while they might not be a top 5 unit, consistently like years prior, having an offense, a good offense, and a good offensive line is really all you can ask for when you're looking at a waiver wire pickup at this point in the year. Now, we're going to go back to the outside run here, and they're going to give the ball to Guerendo on a bit of a stretch to the left side. And here, once you let him get in the ball in space, you let him go, it's going to be pretty solid setup blocking. Number 94 is going to have leverage here. Guerendo just has to explode to the outside. After a few more struggles with inside runs, they're finally going to give Guerendo a stretch to the left side, and this is where he excels. Guerendo is an extremely fast back, and you'll see him get out in space extremely quick. Right here, we'll slow it down right now. You see 94 has pretty good leverage, but they're giving Guerendo a chance to get to the edge, and if Guerendo can just get to the edge, he's easily going to turn this into a very positive play for at least 5+ yards. Now he has a little chance to get going, get his acceleration into second gear, and he's able to burst around the edge. These players don't have a good chance of tackling Guerendo anymore because Guerendo is being led to the outside, given a little runway, given a little bit of space, and that's all he needs. You see two defenders basically fly right off him. Guerendo gets to the edge, runs through another guy, falls forward, and picks up a very big gain right there. This play right here is going to work great for a number of reasons. One, it's going to be a pitch to the right side, and you're going to have Guerendo just get to the edge, get him the ball, and then seal off this way. On top of that, you can also see, I believe that's Kyle Juszczyk at the bottom of your screen, and they're putting a guy in motion to the side that they want Guerendo to run. Not only are they giving Guerendo a running start to take on the second level, but they're also giving his blocker a head start. Fantastic scheme right here, and you'll see it play out. Guerendo gets the ball. All these guys get caught up on the bottom of your screen or right side of your screen, and Guerendo has a chance to just get skinny, get between these guys, because now all these defenders are in a massive mess here. No one's really getting free here. You have, I believe, I don't actually know who that offensive player is, but you have this player blocking downfield, and really the only threat you have to this play is this defender coming in here on extremely late, after Guerendo already is able to hit the hole and already able to get positive yards. So Guerendo does another great job, and this is a fantastic cut. This is something that why I believe I would rather have Guerendo playing over Mason, for fantasy football, because he is way more explosive in my opinion. Cuts on a dime. Look at his feet right here. Gets to the outside, cuts back from the middle. You have 22 on him, runs him over, and gets an extra 1 to 2 yards on that play. The 49ers absolutely love that. They are going to give the guy to a player that is able to shift like that. Obviously, he's not as shifty as McCaffrey, but he has a little more, quickness to his game than Jordan Mason. And on top of that, he's able to fall forward. That's something that I love to look for in these film breakdowns, because that kind of just tells you if the players are going to get a ton of playing time, if they're going to get that coaching trust. You have to look at what the coaches want to see, because that may not, 1 to 2 yards every play may not look like a big deal to us on the stat sheet. I mean, that's 0.1 points, but to these coaches, 1 to 2 yards means everything, and that will result in Guerendo getting more playing time. This right here is why it's extremely important to note why I'm a little bit higher on Guerendo now that the offensive line looks better, because beginning of the season, they definitely were playing a lot worse, and here we're going to see a pitch to the left side, but this time, it's not going to be Guerendo's fault. There's nothing he can really do here, and you see right here, he wants to get to the edge, but this offensive lineman gives up leverage to number 0, who now has a clean shot to tackle him. Again, it would have been nice to get to the second level because you have good blocks on number 2, good blocks on the outside, but 17 is also having good leverage, closing up the gap. Now, Mason's kind of understanding of that. I think there's pretty good vision here, and we'll slow this down by the frame. He's originally trying to come outside until he realizes he absolutely has no choice. 0 is completely on the left side of his man, and he has to cut up the field. Again, he's literally being pushed into 17, makes the cut, and 17 doesn't even end up getting him because that creates a distraction for the other defensive lineman to come behind and tackle him there. Nothing you can do on Guerendo, but again, it was nice to see the silver lining of him falling forward yet again. Now, the 49ers offensive line kind of struggling this game, to be honest, when I watched back the film. It's extremely important to note that this was a big chunk of Guerendo's yards, right? You're going to see here that he's going to get the ball. I believe this is going to be kind of a bit of a stretch right here. Yep, they're going to give him the ball. It's going to be a essentially designated stretch play. And right here, gets good enough blocking, 77. All he has to do is you have these defenders double teaming right here, creating a wide open gap on the left side. And now Guerendo, what he has to do is get skinny right here, get between this hole, and then explode on the second level. And you need a guy with that kind of explosiveness that will get you chunk plays. Exactly what's going to get done. Does a great job following the left side seal. Gets skinny between the holes. Does perfectly. Essentially just rubs off that left side block to get between the hole, get between to the second level, and bounces out. He has one man to beat, number 5 back here, and he's just going to explode. take off to the second level, and he's going to end up going down on this play because, I believe it was the very end of the game. It kind of looks like he got tripped, but when I watched the other angle, you can kind of see that he had that defender beat, and it could have been a touchdown. Either way, that just shows off the explosiveness of Guerendo. If you had any doubts about the speed, no, he is that. He's an elite speedster back, and he has the ability to break off chunk plays. When you're in a great offense like the 49ers, who is at least definitely fairly, I'd say everyone can kind of agree they are definitely an above average offense right now, despite their struggles. That's something that you want on your fantasy team. And if you're plugging in Guerendo as an RB2 that has that kind of, elite breakaway speed, can score you, that would have been 6 points for a touchdown, and then probably that was, a 50-yard run? That's 11 points in a single play. That's something that you're not getting, one, especially from the waiver wire. Absolutely not at this point. And with how the running back landscape has been, fairly solid, but it's going to be extremely tough to, if you're loaded at other positions and you need an RB2, this could very well save your season. With that being the last play of the Seahawks game, we're going to move on to the Cowboys game now, where Guerendo had a much better fantasy game, scoring, again, 19.2 points. In this game, he got involved as a receiver, drawing 4 targets and catching 3 of those passes. This is also later on in the year, so we see a bit of an improved 49ers offensive line. Right here, I want to just look at the few routes that Guerendo ran this game. This first one is going to be a simple table route, but this one actually impressed me a bit because it's a pretty bad ball by Purdy. One looks it off the middle of the field and then comes right back to Guerendo in a pretty, there's no one around him, but Guerendo was very outstretched for the ball. Does a great job catching it for one. Great hands there. You can see that he's obviously not a dud in the receiving game. No dud would he be able to catch that. And one, regains his balance and kind of just falls forward for those extra yards. Again, that's not something that you'll notice on the stat sheet, but in the short term. But I promise you the 49ers staff notices that, and is going to be giving him more playing time, going to be giving him more trust, and that results in significant, gains on the stat sheet over the long term of a whole game where he's getting an increased amount of carries due to that increase in trust. This is going to be a pretty simple route for Guerendo again. He's not running a too diverse route tree. It's going to just be a pretty simple sit down in the middle of the field. And you see Purdy here, not the first read here, and he's coming into the middle of the field. You see, 2 looks there. Purdy checks it down, gives the ball to Guerendo, and now he's put in a situation where he has a chance to make a play after the catch and does a really good job, again, catching the ball, turning upfield, getting those extra yards. This last play is a screen. It's going to be a pretty much dud in the production category, but it is nice to see. Obviously, Guerendo is the number 1 read, and to manufacture touch for him, they're showing their trust in Guerendo. You'll see him leak out to the right side, get the ball. Purdy checks it down, but unfortunately, I believe I can't really tell right here, this guy completely missed his block. Guerendo is in a one-on-one scenario with this defender who has the best leverage in the world, and obviously you could say Guerendo needs to make a man miss in one-on-one coverage. Completely fair. He actually does kind of break that first tackle, and then he has 27 coming at him with great leverage. You have another defender in pursuit, and that's just not really going to end well. There's only so much Guerendo can do on that, poorly set up screenplay. Despite not seeing much success on the inside, run game early in the year, this 49ers offense looks a little bit better later on in the year. They're going to give Guerendo a dive right here, and Guerendo does a great job with this play. He's going to just exploit the middle. You see Juszczyk come across your screen, and Guerendo now just has to follow this hole right here that's going to open up in just a second. You see, good vision, good patience, plants his foot right there, cuts at the middle. That is great burst right there. That is an above average running back. Absolutely. No questioning that. Just cutting up the field, getting to the second level, and then does a good job kind of stepping over that guy and bursting through, getting a pretty nice chunk play for about over 10 yards on that gain right there. This is going to be the first major goal line carry we're going to see out of Guerendo. He had a few other opportunities, was pretty just poor blocking, but he's not really using that sense. So if he's able to punch this one in, and we'll see in a second, that is going to be absolutely crucial because not only does he have the ability to use his acceleration, use his speed, but he also has to have a decent, goal line build to be able to actually punch these in for touchdowns. Here, it's going to be inside zone, up the middle, and Guerendo this time does a great job getting between his blockers and then just dives towards the pylon. They're going to count that as a touchdown. Absolutely huge to see a guy that can break out a 50-yard gain, can be extremely explosive on the outside, also have, solid ability, at least average ability, to be utilized around the goal line when you have an above average offense, or really just, not being a one-trick pony as a speedster. A few more inside zones have gone by, just inside run plays where Guerendo's moving a few yards forward, and here, this is where I love the play design. This is another play that really impressed me. You'll see at the bottom of your screen, once we move this up a little bit more, you have use check and motion. Another time, love seeing that these, just getting the 49ers scheme and understanding it is so massive because they just do such a good job moving their blockers around to set up these kind of plays. That is huge check. So you're seeing him come across, you're seeing Guerendo get the ball, and now what that's going to do is cause a lot of confusion at the top of your screen, and that's a perfect play design. They're using Guerendo to his strength to let him just get up the middle and then make a cut to pick up a nice solid chunk gain. See how fast he accelerated through that cut? Fantastic job. Gets a really big gain off of a pretty simple inside run. Very similar play. It's going to be another inside zone, really inside run to the left side, and you're bringing everyone left. You can see all these offensive linemen starting to pull to the left side of your screen, and that just gives Guerendo the opportunity to, when he feels the time is right, use that patience and just make that cut just right off 68's back, explode to the bottom to the right side of your screen, and just pick up a massive gain right here. Such a good job understanding the play, and just fantastic cut by Guerendo right here. Gets around two other defenders as well, and just gets a really, really nice gain, just chunking out these yards on pretty simple run concepts. Now the inside run is going a bit, you can now give the ball to the left side on another pitch to Guerendo, and he's going to be able to do a lot more with this play, even on not fantastic blocking. I mean, really just shrugs off a guy right away in the backfield. You see 50s flying free, but still has good enough speed, and that's a really good play there. It kind of fakes like he's going to cut upfield, and then just cuts right around, trying to get behind the back of this defender, gets around him, and gets a pretty solid play for pretty poor blocking with 50 essentially being untouched, really close to the line of scrimmage. To end the tape off, this is going to be a designed inside run that Guerendo uses his instincts and just bounces it to the outside on a fantastic play. You can kind of debate too if this should have been a touchdown. I mean, he gives himself up. We'll not get too ahead of ourselves. Here, it's supposed to be a dive. You see, everyone is clogging the middle. There's nowhere for him to go. This defender pokes his head there and meets him behind the line of scrimmage. Guerendo has to stop on a dime, gets out of there, and now is a one-on-one with number 14. And really, all he should do, use his speed. Beat that guy to the edge, get around the corner, and he's near the red zone. He kind of like slows down here. This is where you have the question, and gives himself up. I think Guerendo, it looks like he's going down right now, which means he's probably still full speed there. This defender's here. I think that he has enough speed to get to the edge, and realistically, this probably should have been a touchdown, but just fantastic instinctual play. And this is a play that not just any plug-and-play backup can make. You have to be extremely talented, extremely skilled, and when you plug and play a guy with that kind of talent and skill in that, great 49ers scheme and offense, even though they haven't been great this year, they haven't been, a top 3, top 5 team like we're used to seeing, they're still above average. That is going to produce great results, comparatively for him being a waiver wire pickup at the end of the year. After watching the film, I'm 100% confident that you should be spending all of your FAAB on Isaac Guerendo. It's really a no-brainer. You're getting a skill player that is miles and miles more valuable than any player on the waiver wire right now, and will be likely 99% chance for the rest of the season, versus really just a defense that you're getting for 1 week is fairly interchangeable, isn't going to be a too big of an advantage versus the 1 defense versus the 2 defense on your waiver wire in most case scenarios. On top of that, you're looking at week 14 and then 2 weeks of playoffs, maybe 3 weeks. You're getting protection at running back, which is the hardest position to go get depth at. And you can just stream wide receiver and get solid production. But in most leagues, like my own home league, there is no usable starting running backs right now, making Guerendo a massive advantage. So if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your fantasy football playoff picture is looking like. Let me know your thoughts on Guerendo. And I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Again, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.